Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Just recently, I've came across this article. An Arkansas waitress says she was fired after guests left a $4,400 tip. Now, the reason why I'm going over this article is because I need to let you guys understand that your employer wants you to be poor and that certain industries exist because you are poor. Okay, so let's read over this article and I could further expound on what I'm trying to communicate to you guys. A waitress in Arkansas told KNWA on Thursday that she was fired after guests left her and another server a collective tip of $4,400. Ryan Brandt told KNWA, that's the woman, that she and another waitress were in charge of serving a group of more than 40 people at the Oven and Tap restaurant in Bentonville, where Brandt said she's worked for 3.5 years. So she's a waitress. She worked at this particular place for 3.5 years. And quite frankly, just to be honest with you, she's probably, old, elderly, or she's a single mom. That's probably the case. Nothing to disparage her about, but just telling you that's probably the situation. Each person in the group left a $100 tip at the end of the service, which amounted to a $4,400 tip for the waitresses, Brandt told KNWA. Brandt told the outlet that the restaurant asked her to pool her tip with other colleagues, a practice that had never happened while she worked at Oven and Tap, she said. Now, let me ask you this question, okay? Assuming this is true, okay, these are allegations, but for the sake of the story, let's assume this is true. Why would the restaurant ask her to share her tip money with other colleagues when that's never happened before? Okay, so she and another server earned that money. They're supposed to split the tips between themselves, but the restaurant's telling her to split it. Now, why is that the case? Because, and this isn't really talked about as much, but there's an implicit understanding that the restaurant owns your time. One of the biggest reasons why I try to get people not to work at places like a retail outlet like Dollar Tree, Walmart, etc., or even fast food companies is because they are in essence in control of your time. Unlike a lot of other jobs, you don't have a strict 9 to 5 schedule. You don't. You have shifts that are determined by whom? Is determined by the employer, in this case fast food and retail, and this employer gets to dictate, depending on the flow of traffic, when you don't get to be hired. When you can get put on to a particular shift. So it could be morning shift, afternoon shift, night shift, etc. And it could switch up literally every week or dependent upon how the employer feels about you. That's chaotic for most people because most people want stability. Those aren't stable positions, as you can see, based upon this particular moment. Now, Grant Wise, who was part of the 40-person party, told KNWA that he only wanted to tip the servers who waited on his table, not the others. Okay, so once again, this individual just wanted to tip the servers. All right. Wise requested a refund for the cash, and gave it to Brandt outside of the restaurant, he told KNWA. Brandt told the outlet that she was fired from her job after she accepted the cash, saying it was devastating. Brandt said Oven and Tap told her that she was fired because she disclosed information to Wise about splitting the tip with her coworkers, which violated the restaurant's policy, KNWA reported. So here's another thing, okay? Talking about money isn't illegal at all. It's just not. However, Oven and Tap didn't immediately respond to insiders' request for comment, which was made outside of its operating hours. KNWA reported that Oven and Tap declined to discuss the reason for Brandt's departure. Now, here's what's really interesting. Oven and Tap seems to be in Bentonville. All right. That seems to be the location of, I believe, Walmart. Let's actually look that up. Walmart location, Arkansas. Nope, that's just the website. Let's go. Wiki. Let's check out. It is, headquarters is in Bentonville, Arkansas. All right. Now, if you know anything about Walmart and their practices, they typically pay either at the minimum wage or just enough so that people would just work at their stores. And if their employees cannot, afford enough money, okay, let me say this again. If their employees cannot afford enough money, then said employees will go ahead, qualify for food stamps, and they'll use those same food stamps at Walmart, and Walmart keeps getting more money. But I'm going to expound on that also further along into this video. So after dining, this large group of guests requested that their gratuity be given to two particular servers. Oven and Tap told KNWA, "We fully honored their request. Out of respect for our highly valued team members, we do not discuss the details surrounding the termination of the employee." Let me explain something to you, okay? And I'm not trying to be, condescending or undermining people in certain positions, because I myself used to work fast food, okay? I used to do this. If you have to make your living with tips, you are already in a poor position. So let me repeat this again. If you have to live your money on tips, you're already in a poor position. So let me explain to you why that's the case. Do you understand the history of tipping in the United States of America? That's my first question. Okay. My second question is, do you understand by you living on tipping, you already subjected yourself to be on other people's whims, and not just the customers, but your employers tell you what to do? Do you understand it? Okay. So the first question, what's the history of tipping in the United States of America? Tipping came from Europe. Basically, you had these nobles, upper class during the time. They'll travel to place, and they will essentially tip some money for exemplary service to the people that, gave them bed and breakfast, etc. Now, they didn't have bed and breakfast then, but essentially they gave hospitality to said nobles. Now, that tip was in addition to the regular price, but I'll get into that later on. Tipping comes to America, and of course, Americans, like everything else, they want to copy European nobility, okay? They'll copy the word entree to make it seem as though that's the main course, even though in French, entree does not mean the main course. It means principal plot. But once again, they're trying to copy. Now, here's where things become, as I like to call it, Americanized, all right? So you have several groups of people. You have women, you have black people. They're trying to get their freedoms, etc. Okay. Various businesses do not want to pay black people, etc., as well as women, their dues. So you know what they say? They say, okay, we're not going to pay you a fair wage. What we're going to do is we're going to pay you a tip, and all you're going to do is you're going to survive on those tips because you can't do anything else. Okay. Or more succinctly, we just want you in that position because we don't want you to come over. You understand? So this happens for decades on end. And because a lot of people are what I like to call wannabes entrepreneurs, or they're not even wannabe entrepreneurs, they have this idea that they could get into this job, make a living from said job, and empower themselves, which it can happen. But for the most part, it just doesn't work. Okay. For most people. Second thing is, I said this before, I said this again, this comes back down to the evolution of tipping. You got people from the top, i.e. employers, who are trying to say, hey, you know what? I have a restaurant business. I'm trying to care for my employees, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you go back into Europe, they still do the same thing. They get paid the wage and some tips. Why? Because in Europe, the tipping was in addition to the main price. Okay. But that's the exchange. So what exactly am I trying to get at? The reason why your employer wants you poor, or the ways they keep you poor, is to already condition you to make you feel as though that this is an okay practice. Now, you might hear the rebuttals and you'll hear someone say, well, Chris, you tip because of good service. Okay, here's my question to you. And this is the third question besides the first two questions I asked you. When you go to a retail store, do you tip the associates that help you? So let me repeat this again. So you say you tip because of good service. Cool. I've gotten good services from many places. I've never tipped. From retail stores to clothing stores, etc. I never tip. I just purchase my stuff. My question is, why don't you tip? Because you said obviously it's about the service, right? So if it's about the service, then you tip, right? Lately, people keep saying, well, tipping is out of control. And all these people are asking, hey, can you do, 15%, 18%, 20%? They're turning around the screen, even though it's pickup, they're saying 15, 18, 20%. And I say, no. Why are you upset? Because last time I heard, you tip because of good service, right? You didn't say you tip because of good service at restaurants. No, you generalized the statement. You said if someone just gives you good service, you tip them. So you go to the medical office and you see the receptionist and they're giving you good service, you tip her or them, okay? You go to Wendy's, you go to a fast food restaurant and they give you good service, you tip them, okay? You go to the medical doctor and the medical doctor is nice, the medical doctor is great, you tip them, right? Because you said service is why you should tip somebody, because good service deserves tips. That's what you said. All right, cool. So tip those people. All right. You see where I'm getting at? You wanted to play the tip game. This is a tip game you're going to deal with. And because this particular lady, unfortunately, I'm sure she's a nice lady, she got a huge tip. The employer saw that and they said, you know what? We want to make sure that we can control your time and control your position. So we're going to ask you to basically share it with all the other colleagues. That's what's going to happen. Anyways, that's all I got to say regarding this issue. If you have any other comments, please leave them below. Hope you liked the video as well, and you have a nice day. Bye.